Sure.
Sorry about that. So just a reminder, try to really work on the first deliverable. They're going to be due at the end of this month. So really try in the next, 7-10 days to have that first deliverable due. So like look at the case packet, the first deliverable. Some of you guys are focusing, a few of you are on education, a lot of you are working with the commercial industries. And just a reminder, Vimi's target market is no longer the individual consumer. That's not who they're going to win over. Their target market are people that are on their phones or first. So like the Slack of mobile, Slack is used by developers, it's used by basically everyone, but most of those people sit at desks. So Vimi is trying to be the company out there for people that aren't at their desks really at all. So people that are in-house technicians. I know I already told you all yesterday because we had a call, but in-house technicians, contractors, people that are like always there. And so the first step is to try to think of who else are, not really at a desk, but at their phones. Might need manuals, might need texting, might need all of their stuff right there. So, I named a few, those technicians and everything like that. So try to figure out like who the different segments would be. And then once we have that, you'll want to call them and say like, hey, I'm a student, this university. I just have a few questions. I'm working on this app. I'm working on this consulting project for an organization. Can I have like a minute of your time? And hopefully they say yes, and just ask, what do you currently use to text, to keep data, to, in your daily life, what software do you use? And at this point, we just need to get a list of those names and then do a SWOT analysis, do an industry analysis, a competitive analysis and landscape, and figure out what those are used, why they're used, and what Vimi offers and what Vimi is advantages and disadvantages are. Because so basically the end of this is we want to take that, and from there, we want to have an analysis of everything that's out there. The step two will really be talking to those people and figuring out what the pros and cons are of what they currently use, what their biggest, problems are, what they really like, and then seeing what they think of Vimi, just as a general sense of less pitching it, but just like getting feedback of what they really like. And so in the end, we'll be able to say these are our target markets. These are our target markets. This is these are our target markets. This is what they really don't like. This is what they really like. So then we can give to Vimi basically pitches and ideas of how to go after and who to go after and why to go after them. And so the first part, once again, you'll want to call them. You want to try to talk for a few minutes, just find out what they're currently using, and then do the analysis. We have like Basecamp, Flowchart, or those ones. There's obviously going to be more, so try to figure out what people use, and then have your teams do an analysis on those and figure out where the pluses and minuses of Vimi lies in marketing, how much the other ones cost, what their use cases are, who's using them, everything like that, and then for the end of the month, but try to get on this sooner than later so we can compile it together with everyone. So, really just like a week and a half. Try to have a deliverable with, each of the products, who uses it, what their use cases is, how does Vimi compare, break it down, each section, flowchart. Okay, flowcharts, pluses and minuses, their cost, what they offer, why, what are their advantages, what are their threats, what are their other people, I'm just thinking SWOT or the 4Ps or 5Ms for marketing. And so you'll really just want to have, you want to really have like a really good competitive landscape and Vimi's advantages for the first deliverable.
Okay.
Sweet.
I might ask you for that in writing. I don't really know what the 4Ps and.
Yeah. So the 4Ps are price. Let me just make sure. 4Ps are price, product. Here's just a chart. They're product, price, promotion, and place. So you could do figure out what the target market is for each of those Flowcamp, for Basechart, for whatever else. More importantly, they tell you, because those are what we know. We don't really know what else they're using, and figure out like what's the product, what its advantages, what it's do a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Figure out where they lie in the market, who they're going after, what the cost is, how they found out about it, how they promoted it. Place isn't really important for this because it's more for distribution. It's just like a marketing mix. The 5Ms are, just want to have them all right. The 5Ms are mission, money, message, media, and measure. So just take a few of these. You could think like, what is the mission of the company? How are they getting their money? How are they marketing it? And you'll really want to focus like, why would this kind of consumer use this? Like, what is the, what does Flowchart give you that seems really useful? And what are they, what is their competitors and how does Vimi compare to them. So we want to just basically be able to have everyone on your team call a few people, 5 people, and say, hey, I'm working for this university. I just have a few really quick questions. What applications, sites, websites, things do you use on your daily basis? So I know like a lot of tech companies use Jira from Atlassian, and they use Slack, and they use Google Docs. But that might not be the case for people that are in-house technicians that are always fixing things. It might be like I use, Preview and Dropbox, and I chat with this messenger, and I keep my work orders in my CRM and this one. You know what I mean? It might be
Yeah.
completely different. So we really just need to like talk to people, try to have everyone on your team call 5, 10 people, and just like 2 minutes. I'm from university, doing some research project. I'm consulting. I'm working on an app. What do you think? What do you currently use? Just so we can get some of that feedback.
Okay, so it's more about the research than actually pitching the app to these people?
Exactly. So the second part will be more pitching the app. The second part, so the first part is not only talking to people, but also try to think who else would use it. Like who else uses their phone first. Like talk to electricians, talk to people like that are, probably not sitting at a desk. You could probably look at what trade schools offers, things like that, and then talk to them and just find out what they're using. And then maybe keep their contacts and call them up in 3 weeks and say, hi, we got a really great time talking. Last time, would we be able to get coffee, or can we talk for a few minutes on the phone? Like I just have a few questions. Even if you can't show Vimi off, you can really get an idea of like why they use what they use. And then
Okay,
you
sure.
can explain if you can't meet them in person, because I know sometimes it's gonna be harder for these people, or email. Probably phone's even easiest. To get a feedback of like why they use it. Like, oh, you use Google, I use Slack. What do you like about Slack? What really changes your workflow? What do you not like about Slack? And like, if you might not be able to like put Vimi in their hands, but you could say like, okay, so I'm working on this app that like allows you to drag in between all of them in one app. What do you think of that? Do you think you need to be texting? Do you think it needs to invite people? Like all of these different features, to figure out like what would really each key target segment, like each target market, what would they use the most, and what do they currently dislike the most. So if I know electricians really hate this one thing, I can go to them all as Vimi and say, we fixed this one thing, and this is probably affecting you, and we have a better solution. And so they really know how to market their product because of that. And like one idea that I know I was telling you yesterday is maybe to also find out what people use is you could try to be almost like in those industries. So like say there, I'm assuming there must be LinkedIn, there must be Facebook groups and other groups online for in-house technicians, for like people that work in service centers, that like things like that, people on the road. And you could probably join those groups and say, hey guys, I'm looking into this. What applications do you currently use? And then we'll do an analysis on those applications.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions?
All right, so we had a meeting this week. So just for this week, I know we changed the focus, but I still think it would be helpful regardless to try to get clubs on the campus using it, which I guess might be more part of the second stage. Regardless.
Yeah. So I would say have some of your team, or try to do both. Focus also on education, and by education, try to talk to like club leaders. I know like I have a bunch of friends that are club leaders, so try to talk to your friends, and basically like for this stage, try to figure out what they're using and why they're using it. So try to do both. I would also focus on commercial because it's going to be harder than like academics. I have a feeling you're going to talk. Each person can talk to 2 people or 3 people in a club, and they're all going to say we use Facebook Messenger, Slack, and Google Docs. You know what I mean? I
Okay.
don't think, because like a lot of these platforms like that we use, we're not paying for. Like I'm doing working on a website thing with a few people, and we use Trello. Would it be a million? We're like honestly thinking about as a team buying Atlassian from like Jira Atlassian, which is like $15 a month, but it gives you a lot more support. But most student clubs aren't using that. So I think a lot of them are going to use like the free stuff. So definitely talk to them and then add that in as like an education section, like a business as in clubs. So when their focus on clubs is as in like a business to business, like how to get everyone on their phones to be using this and to keep all their data. So I would talk to club leaders and find out what they're using. And then the second part we can split up. In the second part, we'll have a much longer time. We'll have like a month fully to do it. And then a week and a half, 2 weeks to come up with pitches, because then we'll know what they like and what they don't like and how to pitch it. But yeah, so I'd go after education if you can. Also, I think it'll be an easier one. So I would focus honestly on commercial more. Try to reach out to groups. Try to find out what's different. Post to those Facebook groups, possibly do things like that. And then the second deliverable will be more talking to people. I know someone mentioned, I think was it you? about like their UI. I think that could come at the very end, maybe the last week if we have time, and be like, hey, we showed this off. So like not only do we find these features really useful, but people never know about these features, or they really don't like this part of the UI, or this is missing this, or they need these features. And I think that will come more in the second stages when you're talking to people. You might, if you could put the device in someone's hand and have them use it for 5 minutes, and then they after 5 minutes say, oh, why doesn't it have these three features? And you're like, oh, it does have these features. Then there's obviously an HCI, human computer interaction issue, of like using the device, like the application. And so I would try to do the first part, figure out what their competitors are, very much focus on finding new competitors. Don't just focus on like Slack, Facebook, Google Docs, Jira. Focus on like, oh, I've never heard of Flow Doc, or what these two that I put in here that until he told me. What were they? Basecamp and Flow Doc. Never heard of that. Feeling we're going to hear about a lot more of those if we really talk to people.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. So I actually told my team to like almost like half pitch the app to these club leaders, but I'm going to reach out to them and tell them that this is strictly about the research at this point.
Yeah. So right now it's strictly about the research. And then I would also reiterate, like, if each team member can call a couple, 5 to 10 people in the area that they think would use this app, and very much tell them like it's your people that are on their phones first. So not people that like have desks. Like they might have desks, but they're like not spent on a laptop or a computer. They're people that like 9 to 5 are in a truck and they go to someone's house, like someone that works on fireplaces, for example. Like he probably isn't really at a desk. He's at a fire, he's fixing fireplaces. He's, looking at maps. He's giving prices. He's writing estimates. That might all be done on his phone. And so try to think like other people that would go around, maybe look at trade shows, look at things where like people really specialize and think these people are really on their phone, and come up with a list of those, and then look on the area around you, think if you have any connections and try to reach out. Look for Facebook clubs, call them. Probably less so email. I don't think you're going to get as good a response, especially if these people don't usually use computers. Call them and just say, like, I'm a college student. I really need feedback. Like, it'll take you 1 minute. Like, it would be really great. Just like, what do you use? I hear you're a great technician. What do you use to keep track of your daily tracks, to your documents? You're usually on your phone. What applications do you find yourself working? Do you converse with team members? How do you do that? And so just really get a sense of like what there is out in the market. Because I don't think we fully know what there is out in the market for competitions for what Vimi now is. Because Vimi is no longer a B2C. Like they're not going after the consumers. They're going after businesses that are mobile first.
Okay.
Yeah. Sweet.
That definitely clears some stuff up.
Yeah, I'm glad. Sorry, I know like Vimi's been out of it, like this entire project's been a little of a mess. Once we have this first deliverable, I think it'll be a lot more smooth sailing.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm good with that then.
Other questions? I'm glad your team's working on it. Just like keep me in the loop. Let me know. Always just message me if you have any questions, or let me know how they're going.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first deliverable, I would say like have a header, like commercial, and then have like headers, like subheaders for each section of like different, air conditioning technicians or fireplace technicians or landscapers, like each section, what you found they currently use. And then when they like split them up into what they currently use, and then maybe have a section on each of those apps and what the pluses and minuses are, and then where does Vimi compare to it? So, like a paragraph, what the pluses are, a paragraph, what the minuses are, like what they offer, what they don't offer. And then a paragraph on how Vimi compares and how Vimi has an advantage or disadvantage.
Okay.
So try for like every app that there is that you find out about, and try to just get your team member 2-3 minutes to call everyone, call 30 people, 10 people, it's 30 minutes. It shouldn't be, plus to put some research in, so an hour. Like it shouldn't be, and then write it up what you get. Then take that and do your research.
Okay. Yep.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you anything exciting tonight?
Yeah, I got some database work.
Oh, fun. What is it in? Is it SQL?
Yeah, I mean, this is more about like the theory, like the hardware and stuff, and like how it works.
Yeah, we have one of those classes. I'm not going to take it.
Yeah, it's one of the easier things that like fills a certain requirement for us. That's why I'm taking it.
Oh, really? It's one of our harder classes.
Really? Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much. Good luck.
All right, I'll talk to you next week, man.
Yeah. Awesome. Have fun. Thanks.